What is up, everybody? It is Saturday, September 17th. It is the eve of week 2. This is your Daily Dog Take. I am Jacob, your host at Roachism13, joined by the amazing Mr. Casey Kinnaman over at Dog Pound Daily as well. We are ready to rock here for your week 2 NFL picks. We're going to go head-to-head. I lost last week to Randy Gurzy, so I did donate $20 to his favorite charity. Casey and I are going to go head-to-head. Casey so graciously has agreed to put the $20 on the line, so either way we'll be helping a cause. Let's just see which one of us has to pony up the dough and where it's going to go. Guys, check it out. If you're ready, you need another Victory Monday shirt, you need to get more Browns gear, check out Homage. I'll put a link in the description down below or in the comments if you're watching this on Twitter. I think Homage, the best part about Homage shirts, in my opinion, is they're the softest in the market. Like, I sleep in those things. They're just so they're I made this joke the other day, but I was serious. Like, I mean, I could just put it on just to sleep in it. It's that comfortable. Like, besides all the awesome stuff, they just got the Nick Chubb NFL Blitz shirt, which I just ordered my Victory Monday shirt. So the Nick Chubb Blitz shirt is next. Casey, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to chopping it up and talking some ball.
I love going through these because, you know, and you do the same thing, I know, as me, you know, appearing on Sports for CLE and writing all these articles and stuff. We're so Browns centric that I do enjoy having this opportunity to sit down and look across the league, because I try my best to keep up with as much as I can. So I watch the primetime games if I can, and which really helps because because all the teams have got to play a Thursday. I think they're required. Yep. Everybody has to play one. So you get an opportunity if you watch Thursday's games to see everybody once at least. And I try to watch the primetime games and stuff, but I am going to Cleveland for this game. I will be at the home opener, so I will not be able to, again, probably watch the afternoon slate of games, and I'll just have to come back home and see how I did on the picks, which is what happened last week.
You can always scoreboard watch at the stadium. That's always fun.
I do love that, too, because they put up some decent highlights at halftime. Like, although Joe Thomas is being inducted into the Ring of Honor for this game, and I didn't realize that until a couple days ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm even more excited to be up there. And
yeah.
I got my buddy went to, you remember the game when they gave out those bobbleheads? They were remembering his 10,000 consecutive snaps. My buddy actually went to that game because it was against the, can't remember who it was against. Never mind. I was thinking it was against the Giants, but that's not true. But he's a Giants fan, went up with some friends of his. He actually got an extra bobblehead while he was up there, and he brought one to me, and it's on my desk, and it's.
That's dope.
Nice. That's like it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, you know, you want to weird up. You're like, you thought of me.
All right, Casey. Cool thing I saw at halftime. I went to a game and I saw Jim Brown at halftime. Oh. Back in 2013, they were playing the Bills on a Thursday night, and they brought Jim in, and it started to rain at halftime, right? But because Jim was on the field, nobody went to the restroom. Nobody went and got snacks. Hot dogs just stayed packed. I'm sure it's going to be similar for Joe. You know, you guys, not a lot of bathroom breaks at halftime for that.
No, they're going on defense, but they're playing really well. I won't miss anything. That's what you get. You just hold it. You just hold it in. All right, man, let's start at the top. I'm just going to go in the order that Google has it when I click on there, and we'll talk about the Browns and the Jets at the end and kind of go a little bit more into this one. This is an interesting one because of injuries and the way week 1 went, and that's the Patriots and the Steelers. Like, looking at this game last week, I probably would have picked it differently than this week. Me and Randy talked about this, and I'll get your opinion on it as well. I'm not that high on the Patriots. Like, I do not think I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're a 7-8 win team that will compete with a lot of players or a lot of other teams, but I really think, like, we talk about the Browns getting to 6, right? That's that magic number while Watson's gone. And I think this could be where one of the 6 comes when the Browns play the Patriots later on. The Steelers without TJ Watt, I watched some of those highlights and I had to turn it off because I just don't. The Steelers offense it's brutal. Bad, and I don't like the Patriots, but I'm going to take the better coach and maybe the better quarterback. And I'll take the Patriots. I don't like that though at all.
Yeah, I have the same feelings as you. These are bad to mediocre teams with great head coaches.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. this pains me to say this sentence out loud. I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. The Steelers take this. It's going to. I think it's just the Steelers defense. I think if you look at all the units combined, I think the greatest one involved in this is the Steelers D, and I think that'll pull them over the finish line. Ugly game, first 1 to 20 wins.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think they get above 20? Like, you think anybody does?
Without a defensive touchdown or something, I think it's going to be one of those.
Yeah. And those games can be fun every once in a while, but I'll be at the game, so I don't have to worry about it.
Nope, you don't have to worry about that.
No worry about that one. All right, the interesting one, the Panthers and the Giants. I thought this one was really interesting. I picked the Giants last week to beat the Titans, more so because I didn't like the Titans than me liking the Giants in that matchup. I'm thinking about it. So, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about it from what would I have thought last year coming off of a loss with Baker Mayfield, if he was healthy. What would I think going into this game? Because that's what the Panthers are, the 2019 Browns, in my opinion, but we can have that conversation for another day. My buddy would be very, very mad at me because he called Coach Dable DeBalls now, just so you know, that's his nickname. It's DeBalls.
Okay.
I still don't like Daniel Jones at all, and I'll take Baker Mayfield. I'll take the Panthers.
Yeah, I like Dable a lot. I like him. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a better coach than Matt Rule, but I'm taking the talent in this one, which I think lies on the Panthers side. I think this is the Panthers game. It's also Baker coming off a loss. This is in New York, I believe. This is a road game for the Panthers. I just think they have the more overall talent. I just see them coming together. I will be interested to see how they deal with Saquon Barkley. He went off last week. They didn't do a good job at all stopping our run game, so that could tilt the balance, but I will take the Panthers.
That's true too, because Barkley looked like Barkley, man. And my buddy, one of my best friends, is a big Giants fan. The aforementioned fan that brought me the bobblehead. He's a Giants fan. And he told me, he goes, I'm ready to make some definitive after week 1 statements. And he said, Barkley's back, baby. And I said, all right, I like that. Now you got the Colts, who ended up with a tie, which I still think should be illegal, but whatever. I get it. We can't have football for 6 straight hours. That would just be a terrible idea. It would be not for us, but for them. So the Colts and the Jaguars, I picked the Jags last week, kind of thinking that I like Peterson a lot. But I saw some crazy stat that in the last 17 starts, Trevor Lawrence has thrown 10 touchdown passes. And that just, I guess I didn't realize it. I knew it was bad, man. I just didn't realize it was that bad. So I look at it and I know there's some injuries for the Colts on defense. I don't think they lay another egg. I'll have to take the Colts, but I don't like it very much.
See, for me, this game comes back to week 17 of last year. The Colts go down there and get embarrassed. There's no way they haven't circled this one. They might have overlooked the Texans because of this game. I think that might be possible. I think they go down. I think they beat the Jags handily.
Okay.
Vegas has this kind of close. I think this is a 3-point game for the Colts, maybe.
Yeah.
I would hammer that. I think the Colts run all over them. I think that this is going to be a revenge game. They have a better quarterback than they had last year. They have the same, Jonathan Taylor running wild. And I like Doug Peterson myself. I think he's a good head coach, and I think they're ascending. But I just think the Colts are going to be too much for them.
I think that if you go back and you ever want to watch a game, I know it's a team sport, and you say, well, no one person can really lose you games all the time. Carson Wentz lost that game last year.
He was awful. He lost several games for them last year where if you look at just rosters, you subtract the quarterback rosters. I think the Colts are up there. I think the Eagles are up there. There's some really good rosters if you take the quarterback out of the equation. The Colts are in that boat, and now they have a guy who's not going to lose you games. Matt Ryan might not got there at this stage in his career, and you might not win because of him week in, week out, but you're not going to lose because of him. So
they'd been in the playoffs last year with him in week 18 in that final game over Carson Wentz. He wouldn't have done those things. Okay, so this one's interesting with the Dolphins and the Ravens because I looked at some of these stats for the Ravens and then kind of dug deeper, and I don't have specific stats in front of me. I was looking at the PFF data, and I was talking with the boys at the Jets Way podcast that have been on my show the last couple of days, previewing the Jets offense and defense. You can find those episodes on YouTube if you want to see them. And they were talking about, like, you know, bottling up that Ravens rush attack. In that if you go and watch that, a lot of those plays that were made by the Ravens were similar to the plays that the Panthers made in terms of like some bad broken coverages and some really bad defensive snaps that resulted in these massive plays that helped the Ravens. It sounds like J.K. Dobbins is not going to play again. I can't remember for sure if he's just questionable or if he's out yet. I just saw it, and I can't believe I've already forgot what I just saw like 20 minutes ago. But that is, if they can't get the running attack going now, I don't know. Like, the Jets' defensive line is better than people think. Sheldon Rankins and Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson over there. So I'm not sure the Dolphins' front can replicate it. But this one's going to be really, really interesting to monitor. And I'm going to go completely out of left field. And I think this is a Tua like flash in the pan game where he comes out and just plays out of his mind after some of the things that have been said about him leading up to week one and then in week one, because he had some, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of the things that have been said about him are fair, but I think it's one of those games, just like with Baker, like Baker will have those games too, where a lot of shit will be said about him in the press and in the media, and he'll just come out and just blow everybody out of the water, and it might not be sustainable. And I think that, and I was, what's ESPN's writer for the Ravens?
Jamison Hensley.
Yeah. So I just saw him talking that they're going into this game with their top 4 corners either hurt or not playing. So like Peters is out, hasn't played since 2020. Fuller's out for the year. Humphrey's banged up. It just has a recipe for the Dolphins upsetting them on the road, and I'll take the Dolphins.
God, I'm having deja vu all over again. I know that what the Dolphins do, they blitz, and that if you put pressure on Lamar, that's how you actually get to them. And if you think back, they had that game in Thursday night last year where the Dolphins took it to them. You know.
Yep.
I'm taking the Ravens. God, it sucks saying that out loud. I got to take the Ravens on this one. I just think it's going to be an ugly game, and I think they win ugly games.
They do.
Really, I don't trust Tua. You know what I mean? He could prove me wrong, but that whole spiel I heard this week about him saying, "Hey, if I can't see the receivers, if they can't see me, I can't see them," and you know, it's weird, man. It's weird. Like, no quarterback sees over their line. Your line 6'5", all of them. I don't care that, you know, Brock Osweiler wasn't seeing over that line, you know, so I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's about finding windows and anticipating throws, and I just don't see that out of him yet. Now, I do like what they're doing down there. I like McDaniel. Yeah. I think they're on the right trajectory. I think with Hill and you know, they got Waddle, they got some fast players, man. And I was always a believer in Gesicki. I don't know like how they feel about him, but like I've always liked that guy, and I like Javon Holland. I like several of their pieces, but I can't dance on the Ravens' grave yet. I wish I could. If I could, I would. Believe me. Taking the Ravens.
I'm so trying to will the rest of the North to lose this week. Like, I don't think there's any chance Cincy loses, but like I'm trying to will the other two at least.
Yeah, I'm predicting an AFC sweep this week.
I'm making up reasons in my head. Some of them are valid, but some of them aren't. And I'm just like okay, this is the week. Yeah. This is where
the corners for the Baltimore. That point's valid. I mean, Miami has the speed. If Tua is on his game and he has a good game, they could easily win. But I think it's going to be one of them ugly ones, and they're going to turn the ball over and
bounce passes to people.
Yeah, trust me, I'll dance on their grave when I can. I just can't do it yet.
Just not yet. Yeah, I got you. I'm with you. Okay, Bucks Saints. This one's interesting because every wide receiver in Tampa is hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know which one's going to play and which is not. Yeah. They could be without like 4 of them.
Big Scotty Miller week, boys. Buckle up.
And this is why they didn't trade Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
But they legitimately could be without their top 4. It's insane the levels of. I'm like waiting for a healthy Russell Gage too, because like I really think he's going to be good in that offense. I just think there's too many injuries there, and they got lucky last week to win, in my opinion. But I'm just going to roll with the Saints because I love Tom Brady, and I do think he's the greatest of all time. I think they'll be fine. They're a playoff team. They're contenders. They're all of that. But there's no continuity right now in terms of what he's seen in camp and practice with the wide receivers because they're just missing so much time. I guess it's more familiarity than it is continuity because there is some continuity with the guys returning. But just like I said this about the Browns last week, that Brissett's timing with his wide receivers was off all day. And I wonder if that's going to show up again in New Orleans this weekend. So I'll take the Saints.
Everything would say Saints. Like Tom Brady hasn't beaten the Saints since he's been in Tampa, especially playing the Saints at the Saints. You know what I mean? That's like in New Orleans, they're a completely different animal when you play them there. I can't go against Tom Brady. I can't do it. He's got no receivers. I don't know if I'm expecting Antonio Brown to parachute in at halftime or what, you know what I mean? But I just can't go against it. So, you know, I'm going to buck that trend, pun intended. I'm going to take the Buccaneers. So
I like
I don't
the
know,
idea.
my hook or my crook. What's going to have to happen?
I could see him parachuting in at halftime.
Yep.
He would do that. The Commanders and the Lions, man, the Lions dropped 35. I know there was a little bit of garbage points there, but like they dropped 30. I didn't know they could drop 35, garbage time or not, there against the Eagles, and made it really interesting. And I just, every time I look at the Commanders, I remember it's Carson Wentz. I mean, he made a couple of dimes though last week. Like there was a couple of dropping of the arm angles and whatnot that I thought were like, oh, that's why Carson Wentz was once paid a lot of money by the Eagles and whatnot before all the trades. I want the Lions to be good so bad. I like Dan Campbell. I really like Aiden Hutchinson being there because I think he epitomizes everything Dan Campbell stands for. I just can't do it. I'll take the Commanders.
Yeah, I can't call them that. I'm sort of call them the football team. I can't get on with the Commanders. But yeah, I'm the same. I'm taking the Commanders. I'm going on that defense. And I know the center Ragnow. I know he's out for the Lions. I know Swift is like on the fence of whether he's going to play or not. So I like the weapons that they have.
Yeah.
I like Dobson a lot. I like McLaurin. You know, I think. But for me, it's that defense. I think that defense is going to get it done. I actually think they're going to compete for the AFC East. I think they're going to be that other team. It's not going to be Dallas. I think it's going to be in the football team.
Yeah, with Dallas in the situation with Dak, we have no idea what it'll look like when he gets back. Because as soon as he goes, I mean, they weren't playing that well last week at all anyway. No. But then he went down. So it's like, is that team good enough to, like we talk about with the Browns, I think they're good enough of a roster to win without Watson, as they've shown. I don't know if the same can be said in there. So yeah, I like the fact that Washington could compete in there. The Seahawks and the 49ers, this is a game of two teams that went in the exact opposite direction of what I thought they would do in week one last week. And the Niners, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was an absolute monsoon.
You can't predict that stuff, man.
Which honestly, that looked like fun to play in. Like it wouldn't have been fun to sit in.
Yeah, not at all. But if you're actually out there sliding around, getting after it, those kind of games always favor the worst team.
Yeah,
like they slow down the better team every time. In my mind, you know, it's
because you can't. It becomes a game of simplicity at that point. So your grandiose, you know, schemes and ideas and game plan, like it doesn't matter anymore. Like it's not going to work. But I'll take the 49ers. I just think they're flat out the better team on every level.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Shanny. That's kind of the same direction I'm headed. I got the 49ers beating the Seahawks. Seahawks coming off a big week win. You know, I mean, that's a big win for them. I think they're going to have like a little bit of a letdown. We still don't know what Trey Lance is. We just don't know what he is yet, you know? So it's kind of like this, you know, it's the mystery box. It could be anything. It could even be a good quarterback. Who knows, you know? Like, but I'm until he shows me he's not it, I'm going to take them. I'm going to vote Shanahan on this one. Take Niners.
I do got to give Gino quote of the week last week though for that. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I still can't get over Monday Night Football being Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. That's still the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like they're not supposed to be on that channel. That's weird. All right, Falcons, Rams. The Falcons gave a much bigger fight than I thought they could. The Rams embarrassed themselves. They're going to be out. They're going to be out for blood. One's a playoff team. One is a top 10 pick team in next year's draft, and I'll take the Rams all day.
Yeah, Rams by overwhelming talent. It's going to be a landslide. I think they're going to get up early, and it's just going to be a bloodbath. Like you said, they're going to be out. They're going to be out for they to show everybody that what happened last week was more, a blip on the radar than like a trend of what they're going to be. And not to take anything from the Bills. I think the Bills are just a unit of a team, man. But yeah, Rams, Falcons. That's not a contest.
I'm not looking forward to the Bills coming to town later down the line. Or we're going up there. I don't know.
We're going up there. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, I'm confused. I was like, you're wrong. They're going up there, buddy. All right. Cardinals, Raiders. The Cardinals, like I said this, I keep getting fooled. So like I'll think like, oh, they're not going to be good, and then they'll be good, and then they'll turn out to be bad. And this time I'm sticking with I don't think Kyler Murray is as good as people want to think he is. And then he looked bad, which undoubtedly means he'll be good this weekend. So I'm using this crazy fan logic. I don't think McDaniels is a good head coach. I go and look, and I wrote an article about this for Fansided, and I said, look at any season in which he is running an offense that is not quarterbacked by Tom Brady. Now, his last year in New England they were like top 15 somewhere around there. They were like, but everything else was in the 20s if Tom Brady wasn't his quarterback, including in St. Louis when they were the 32nd ranked offense in total offense. So he gets some flash in the pan situations whenever he's without Brady, but I just don't think he's actually a good offensive mind. I think he's good at putting pieces together and that are then held together by the greatest of all time at quarterback. Like I think it was more that in Bill Belichick than McDaniels. I don't like him as a head coach. I'll take the Cardinals.
Well, I looked at the over on this one. I think it was like 51.5. Hammer the over in this one. This is going to be no defense played, just track meet up and down the field. I think I got the Raiders. I think the Raiders will end up winning, but I think it's just going to be from who has, neither of them are good defenses by any means. I think the Raiders will play just slightly better on defense, and Murray will make a couple more mistakes, But if you've got a fantasy player in this game, if you got someone on your bench, Waller, Renfro, whoever, man, play them. It's going to be a track meet.
You better put them in that lineup. Texans travel to Denver after the embarrassment that was Russell Wilson not calling a timeout, or his head coach calling a timeout, wasting over 30 seconds of clock. Oh, actually 40 seconds of clock because they ran it down to the play clock all the way down and called the timeout, and then took it out of the $254 million quarterback's hands to kick a 64-yard field goal. If they had Cade York, it would have been all right. But again, this is a situation where I'm looking at a team that got embarrassed. Not because they lost by one. They got embarrassed by the way they lost, the fashion in which everything went down. And that's all we have heard about all week long. And they hear those sorts of things. So I think Russell Wilson goes out and he has himself a pretty good game. And I think the Broncos take care of business.
Yeah, I think in this game you're going to see Russell actually establish connections with some of his guys like Cortland Sutton. I think that's going to be something that happens. I got Broncos winning this one pretty easily.
There's a couple of games that you get through here and you're like, yep, just check boxes here towards the end. I don't have anything to say about the Bengals and Cowboys. The Bengals are just going to run the score up on them.
Cooper Rush is the quarterback for Dallas. Come on, man. Bengals lucking out right there. And I would have favored them even if they had Dak. I would have still favored the Bengals, especially coming off a week one loss where it was like they should have won the game and played horribly.
Yes.
If they have a long snapper, they win that game, period. Yes. And that's with Burrow turning it over 4 times. I would bet on him figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'm betting on him figuring out before I'm betting on Cooper Rush. Like,
yes, hands down. So that's a no-brainer. I think Bengals are going to win that pretty easy.
Bears Packers, that's another one, man. They got embarrassed. The Packers got embarrassed. They're just flat out better than the Bears. I love Justin Fields. He just doesn't have a lot to work with over there. Aaron Rodgers may be a weird dude now, but he can still play quarterback. I think he was always a weird dude. We just know more about him now.
Yeah. Thanks for McAfee. We know way more about him.
Way more. So I'll take the Packers minus whatever the points are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a closer game early. You know what I mean? I think this Bears team, they're going to play hard. I think they're not that talented. It is what it is. You know, like over time, I think talent will win out. So it'll be close early, but I expect the Packers to pull away in the second half.
Titans Bills, your first of two Monday Nighters, which is weird. They didn't do two Monday Nighters last week, but they're doing it this week.
And they overlap. Like they're not starting and one's ending and then the other one starts. It's like one starts and an hour and a half later when one starts. It makes no sense.
I don't even know how that works on TV. I don't.
There must be separate networks.
I don't. That's weird.
I don't know.
Titans Bills at 7:15 on Monday. A weird time to kick off a football game, but I'm just gonna take the Bills again. I mean, this is another situation where the Bills are really good, and I think the Titans are frauds.
Yeah, I don't think the Titans can do anything that's going to dig them out of this hole with Buffalo. I think Buffalo is just going to steamroll them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think with a team like the Titans, if you can get up on them early, take them out of their game plan. Yep. Ryan Tannehill's not going to beat you. You know what I mean? He's just not. Yep. And they gave away their best receiver. You know what I mean? Like, I like Treylon Burks long term, but as a rookie, he's not going to be able to carry them. You know, so it's puzzling. I don't know what moves they're making. It doesn't feel. They've definitely taken a huge step back, in my opinion. Bills by whatever the spread is, +10.
Yeah, give it all of them. Vikings, Eagles. The surprise of the week was the way that, not that the Vikings won because I think they're a good team, but just the way that they won against the Packers. The Eagles, man, they're interesting because they end up letting up some points to the Lions later on in that game, and I'm just kind of like, is that just kind of you had too much of a lead and you didn't have to really worry about things because it ends up being, you know, is that a game that looks closer than it actually really was if you had watched it? Like, you know, so it's one of those weird situations there. But I'm still going to take the Eagles because I think the Eagles are really good. But I would, if I was actually betting, I wouldn't bet on this game at all because I'm not sure how it's going to roll out.
Yeah, when I was looking at the slate, man, this was the most compelling game of all of them for me. I like both the teams. I like the directions they're headed. I like what O'Connell's done to the Vikings offense. Definitely utilizing what their strengths are. But I'm with you. I'm taking the Eagles. I love the Eagles roster.
Yep.
And they're efficient, man. And the way that D plays, that defensive line up front, man, that's gross. You know what I mean? Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox, like that's just that's brutal up front, man. And I like the guys on the back end. I think the Eagles they're a playoff team, you know, and the Vikings might be. I think they could be. I know they beat the Packers. I still expect the Packers to win that division, but the Vikings I think will be competing for a wild card throughout the year.
Yeah, I like the Vikings more than a lot of other people. All right, so we'll talk about it here. The Jets, the Browns. Let's break this thing down a little bit. So here's my thoughts overall, and then I'll make my pick, and then you can give me your keys and all of your thoughts about it as well. I really like what the Jets have up front. Rankins and Williams and Lawson and Johnson. We've talked about those guys a little bit earlier on. I talked about it the last couple of days, or yesterday, I'm sorry, with the boys at the Jets Way podcast about how talented they are. I have been told, though, that you can exploit those safeties and the linebacking core is what I was told, that they're fine, that the defense is ready to play, that Robert Saleh has them ready to go. But the offense is just as bad as it comes. So this becomes a situation where it becomes a war of attrition to me. And I think that, listen, they controlled the Ravens rushing attack. They did. I think But I don't think the Ravens rushing attack is Cleveland's rushing attack. I don't know of a team that has a better rushing attack. And what I mean is from top to bottom, right? The offensive line, the 2 running backs, I think you've got 3, but one of them was inactive, and I think there's a trade coming, some stuff like that. That's actually going to be, I'm writing about that in my mailbag that I'm going to do for this.
There we go.
So there's a little selfish plug there, right there. We're going to put that one in there. But, they got 3 running backs. In the scheme, like I tweeted about this because I was watching some other people breaking down the film and I had watched it myself. The concepts that Callahan and Stefanski come up with in the way that they block and show run action, they show, this, they zig when, they zag when everybody else is zigging. That's the phrase, or they zig when everybody else is zagged. However you want to do it. This is what you think they're doing, but they're setting you up so that in the third quarter, they make you think they're going to do it again. And they hit a massive, backside because you cheat, and they do cut back. They do a counter, misdirection. They do all this stuff. It's just beautifully schemed, blocked, and executed from every level, including Callahan getting Brissett to throw a block last week. And I thought that was fantastic. Yeah. So I think overall, they're just not. I just don't think the Jets defense is good enough to hold down the offense, considering I don't think the Jets offense can move the ball in the Browns. I just don't think so. So I think this comes down to a similar thing last week. As long as the Browns don't blow those coverages last week, it's a massive win. They ran almost 25 more plays than the Panthers. They had double-digit more time of possession. I think that same thing plays out. I think the Jets keep it close in the first half, and I think that they just get worn out in the second half, and I'll take the Browns, 24-13.
Okay. Well, if I break it down personnel-wise, we're talking about the run game. Quinnen Williams, what he is up front. Now, he's the defensive tackle, but he's more of a nose. He lines up. He's going to be on Pochich all day.
Yep.
But he shades slightly to his right, which will be Bitonio. Mm-hmm. That'll be who gets the help. I think that kind of takes them out of the pin and pull schemes. I think he's going to get enough of a leverage on Pochich that it kind of pushes us back. So I think we need to spread them out with zone. I think that's the move. And their linebackers, they'll take the bait. They are athletic, though. C.J. Mosley, Quan Alexander, they fly around. But if you can get them to overreact, Chubb is his vision. We talk about a lot of things with him. It's his agility, it's his power, it's his balance, but his vision. His vision for the zone scheme is he sees lanes before they happen, you know what I mean? And he's on it. And his ability to accelerate through there, he's special. He's special in so many ways, but that's like, for me, his vision is what separates him from a lot of guys. I think that they can exploit that with the zone scheme this week. I think that's what you're going to see mostly out of Nick. Now, when they bring Hunt in, he's the perfect pin pull guy. That's who he is. He's violent. He's violent with his cuts. And I think that you might have more effect in the second half. I think early in the game, it'll be hard to run that because Williams is such a bull up front. Yep. No one, if he was on a better team, he'd be a big name,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you. I see this playing out to where I think the Browns kind of get out to an early lead, but it doesn't get out of hand because the Browns offense isn't going to explode on you. You know what I mean? For a ton of points. Yeah. I will go as far as this. I think defensively, I think the Browns score this week. I think it's going to be a safety. I envision 26-10. I think you're looking at 3 touchdowns, a Cade York field goal, and the crowd's going to go nuts. And then I think the safety. I think that's the final right there. 26-10.
There is not a play that gets me more excited than a safety. Like, I mean, because you just don't see them.
No.
So it's like a unicorn. You're like, a safety? Holy shit, what's that? Like, I got real confused when I was younger because I didn't know what a safety was. And so, like, I couldn't understand some scores that I saw. And then I found out that this 7-3 victory that Iowa had, they never scored a touchdown. So I was like, wait, holy shit, they had 2 safeties?
Yeah.
They couldn't even
That's
score.
Super rare right there. You don't see that. 2 safeties in a game.
7-3. They were like, they didn't score a touchdown. I'm like, what is going on here? Casey, man, I really appreciate you joining me here. If you want to plug your Twitter and everything else that you got going on so that everybody has an opportunity to check you out.
Yeah, man, find me on Twitter if you want to hear my bad football takes on a regular basis, at Casey_Kenneman. And you can catch me weekly on Sports for CLE. Randomly, I'll be on there. And you can find all my writing at Dog Pound Daily, man. Also, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast in here to talk ball. I hope we get to do it again.
It's a great day. We record these the night before, so it's a great day. It's a great way to end a Friday and go roll into the weekend of football watching. So, guys, I appreciate you. That's it for this week. I'll be back on Monday. A little bit of a program change for next week because it is a Thursday game, so it's gonna be an accelerated week. So we'll get Monday will be the instant reaction to week 2. Tuesday and Wednesday, Jim is back. He's been on the show before to preview the Steelers. On Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, there will be no show Thursday, and then Friday will be a reaction show, and we'll reset for the next week, guys. So I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon, and go Browns.